Money can buy you almost anything. It can't buy you immortality. That you have to earn. I'm gonna look you in the eyes, and I'm gonna tell you the future. It's an American story.
With the swear in the face, this fucking world better prepare to get laced because they're gonna taste my...
Fine. I'll do it myself. I got that.
Knew, Clinton knew, Comey knew, Biden knew, Brennan knew, McCabe knew, Strzok knew, Clapper knew, Schiff knew, the FBI knew, the DOJ knew, the CIA knew, the State Department knew. They all knew Trump was innocent, but they feared and spied on him anyway. Worse than Watergate. Trump is a crime victim. Let's remember that.
Done to the Veterans Administration is disgraceful. To families who are seeing their religious freedom under attack and the seniors living in fear, their Social Security benefits and Medicare being drastically cut. To all of you, I had your back.
Oh, Mama told me when I was young, said sit beside me, my only son.
Jay, you're beginning to convince the American people there is a thing called climate crisis. About time.
I already knew it was bullshit, but this is priceless.
Well, thank you all.
Joe, you're an idiot.
Bill Gates. Remember I said, remember the dates, 2003, George Bush reunited UNESCO and the United States. November 17th, 2004, Bill Gates signed an agreement with UNESCO. This is the agreement. Anybody wants to come and look at it, you're more than welcome. After signing every page of this agreement, Bill Gates and Microsoft agrees to support the objectives of the UNESCO Constitution. It might be nice if you thought about supporting the United States Constitution. And to advance the Millennium Development Goals for universal basic education, a master syllabus for teachers, master syllabus for teacher training, and UNESCO will be responsible for the content development. And this is an agreement that he signed in 2004. So again, you can see how all of these people...
This entire curve with all these spikes. Can you calculate how much of a vote that accounted for Biden and how much for Trump?
Close to 600,000. I think our figures were about 570 some odd thousand that all those spikes represented over time.
For Biden?
Correct.
And how much for Trump?
I think it was a little over 3,200.
Representative Gates and members of the House attending today, Dr. Gosar, at this field hearing, thank you for the opportunity to testify. Let me make 7 quick points. First, one of the original sins of government that has carried and caused the poor treatment of the January 6 protester defendants is the lawless formation of the House Select Committee, the January 6 committee, leading to it acting in a one-sided and due process-free way. That committee was gerrymandered by Speaker Pelosi, operated without a ranking member or counsel to the ranking member. Liz Cheney was granted vice chair status to try to cover that up. The committee then had a series of carefully scripted by Hollywood hearings where the entire Q&A path was pre-written and meshed with cherry-picked snippets of highly edited video and audio doctored video. The committee interviewed 1,000+ witnesses, it says, but only about 200 transcripts have been released. Second, the January 6th committee worked with regime media, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, and MSNBC, etc. In that way, the fake narrative that an insurrection had occurred on January 6th was blasted everywhere. Based on secretly recorded video, we now have on tape Nancy Pelosi's documentarian daughter and her friends admitting that no real insurrection ever occurred. The collective effect of the January 6th committee's shameful way of proceeding, plus the reinforcing media blitz poisoned the jury pool in Washington, D.C. Trial venue transfers out of D.C. should have been permitted. Media narrative mongering, was also the pre-original sin, therefore, of this entire issue because it laid the groundwork for the January 6th Select Committee's hatchet jobs. Third, many of the defendants were swept up in a vast dragnet that I believe violated the Fourth Amendment because it was the equivalent of a general warrant that our framers sought to ban. This was done through the use of geofencing technology and cell phone data warrants sent to telecom providers. Additionally, many protesters arriving after President Trump's speech in the ellipse had finished did not see any signage that areas normally open to the public were closed that day, setting up a trespass trap for the unwary. Fourth, the Justice Department did not treat these cases with appropriate respect for the First Amendment rights of the protesters. The 2020 presidential election was incredibly contentious, and many citizens...
Interesting twist for the Biden campaign after a Ukrainian court lists the presumptive Democrat nominee as a possible criminal suspect. One America's Chanel Brion has more from the White House.
Democrat presidential candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden finds himself in more hot water this week. Just confirmed, a Ukrainian court ordered Joe Biden to be formally listed in a criminal case. The crime? The alleged firing of Ukraine's former prosecutor general Viktor Shokin in exchange for dropping an investigation into Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the company for which he was a board member, Burisma Oil. Shokin formally called for an investigation into his firing back in February of 2020, claiming the Ukrainian government at the time relieved Shokin of his post in exchange for $1 billion in loan guarantees promised by Biden, a bribe Biden himself admitted to doing.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
But at the time Shokin called for this case back in February, the courts listed one of the defendants as an unnamed American, an individual widely understood to be Joe Biden, Obama's Ukraine point man. But Biden was never formally named. Now, the courts have ruled it is improper to conceal Biden's name and that there is sufficient evidence to proceed with an investigation. The ruling cannot be appealed. Another key development in this story is the release of a series of telephone conversations that has garnered major questions. Andrei Derkach, a member of parliament in Ukraine, in a press conference Tuesday released what he says appear to be voice recordings of then Secretary of State John Kerry, Vice President Joe Biden, and then President of Ukraine Poroshenko, discussing the Burisma case and discussing the removal of Viktor Shokin. Neither Kerry, Biden, nor Poroshenko have affirmed the verity of these recordings. The recordings appear to have been leaked from government officials and whistleblowers, but are currently being verified. Ukrainian President Zelensky stated he anticipates more developments over the course of the summer and says the case could qualify as high treason. Candidate Biden has yet to respond to this latest development. Chanel Rian, One American News, the White House.
When I spoke at this forum 2 years ago, I told you that we had launched the great American comeback. America is thriving, America is flourishing, and yes, America is winning again like never before. Every decision we make on taxes, trade, regulation, energy, immigration, education, and more is focused on improving the lives of everyday Americans. For 3 years now, America has shown the world that the path to a prosperous future begins with putting workers first, choosing growth, and freeing entrepreneurs to bring their dreams to life. A pro-worker, pro-citizen, pro-family agenda demonstrates how a nation can thrive when its communities, its companies, its government, and its people work together for the good of the whole nation. Together we will make our nations stronger, our countries safer, our culture richer, our people freer, and the world more beautiful than ever before.